Chapter 163. The Imperial Sword Technique was clearly able to increase the power of the sword. Tang Jing had already used the Imperial Sword Technique. In that instant, the first 20 moves of the Outer Heaven Flying Immortal Technique exploded out, forming a thick wall of sword light in front of him. The sword fiercely chopped down on the wall, causing it to collapse. Tang Jing, who was hiding behind the wall, fiercely thrust his sword forward. Dang! The sword was sent flying. Daoist Tianji coldly laughed. You want to turn defeat into victory with just this little bit of counterattack? Stop daydreaming and overestimate yourself. The sword in his hand changed and the sword once again flew over. This time it was from a high vantage point, diving down from the sky with an even more biting cold aura. Little brat, hurry up and run. I already told you that you are not a match for the Imperial Sword Technique. Tian Chanzi anxiously urged. Don't say any more, I will not run. If I run, then Huang Xiang will definitely be killed by him. Then I will have no one to help me in the future, so I must take advantage of this opportunity to work together with him to kill Daoist Tianji. Tang Jing had already made up his mind and could not be changed. Foolish, you really are foolish. Tian Chanzi really wanted to curse out loud, but there was nothing he could do. Seeing the long sword descend from the sky, Tang Jing used his sword to block. The Battle Soul Sword let out a long cry, and a black light burst forth to meet the attack. With a loud dang sound, Tang Jing's arm went numb, and the Battle Soul Sword almost slipped out of his hand. The sword was about to launch another series of attacks when Huang Xiang finally moved. Even though his shoulder was pierced by the sword, his life was not in danger, so he charged at Daoist Tianji without any regard for his own safety. In terms of physical strength, Daoist Tianji was clearly inferior to Huang Xiang, who had turned into a puppet and was not afraid of death. Thus, when he saw Huang Xiang charging at him, Daoist Tianji was startled. He bent his finger and the sword flew back, stabbing towards Huang Xiang's back. This sword was aimed at the heart. If it pierced through, then Huang Xiang would definitely die. Careful! Tang Jing roared and fiercely pounced forward. The War Soul Sword flew into the air and flew out of his hand, slashing at the long sword that was flying back. Clang! The long sword tilted and fell to the ground. Daoist Tianji's face clearly flashed with an abnormal red. At the same time, he dodged to the side, avoiding Huang Xiang's attack. Brat, there's a chance. I finally know why he didn't use the Imperial Sword Technique before. The Imperial Sword Technique consumes a lot of innate qi, and his innate qi is obviously not enough, so as long as you continue to exhaust his innate qi, his Imperial Sword Technique will fail. Tian Chanzi shouted in surprise. Tang Jing's eyes lit up. Why didn't you say so earlier? That way we wouldn't have to attack with all our might. We'll just fight with him to the end and exhaust him to death. Tian Chanzi said embarrassedly, didn't I just see it? No wonder he's only a first-grade foundation establishment cultivator at such an old age. It's obvious that he doesn't practice any powerful cultivation technique. Naturally, his true qi won't be too much, so this is your chance. Tang Jing let out a sigh of relief. He picked up Battle Soul and shouted, Huang Xiang returned to defense. Huang Xiang quickly retreated and stood beside him. His blood had already stopped flowing, and it was obvious that he had used his own inner qi to seal his meridians. However, looking at the blood that had formed a blood scab was still very frightening. Daoist Tianji saw that Tang Jing had turned to defense and his eyebrows immediately wrinkled. Tian Chanzi's fiery eyes were not wrong. Although the Imperial Sword Technique was powerful, Daoist Tianji did not have enough innate qi to control the long sword, so he had to end the battle quickly. Tang Jing turning to defense was something that he did not want to see the most. Brat, why are you scared? Didn't you shamelessly boast that you wanted to kill me? Come on. Daoist Tianji's thoughts turned as he immediately provoked. Tang Jing chuckled. I'm tired from fighting. Can't I rest for a while? Rest? How can you rest in battle? That's for others. In any case, I want to rest for a while. Tang Jing saw that the long sword was floating in the air and that Daoist Tianji's innate qi was being consumed. This was enough. Brat, don't even think about resting. Prepare to die. Daoist Tianji pointed his finger and the long sword attacked Tang Jing. Tang Jing and Huang Xiang were like two rabbits running around the large warehouse. Fortunately, the warehouse was large enough to give the two enough space to escape the pursuit of the long sword. After running a few laps, the two of them were not even panting for breath. However, Daoist Tianji's face was clearly becoming more and more ugly. Tang Jing was secretly delighted. This father wants to exhaust you to death. When the time comes, it will be 2 against 1 and you will not be able to hold on. Daoist Tianji's heart was a little flustered. These two people are monkeys. If I don't face them head-on, it will be difficult to kill them. No, I have to think of a way. My innate chi is being consumed too quickly. Brat, you are a coward. Daoist Tianji angrily cursed. Tang Jing laughed out loud. Ah, how can you curse me? I didn't run far. If you are really strong, then catch up to me. Isn't your shrinking earth into inches very strong? Come and chase me. Tang Jing was like a big swindler trying to trick a little girl, tricking Daoist Tianji into chasing after him. As long as Daoist Tianji used the Imperial Sword technique and at the same time used spatial shrinking to chase after him, then his true chi would be consumed even faster. Daoist Tianji clearly understood that this was seeking death. He could not help but stare at Tang Jing. From his eyes, he could see a trace of craftiness. His heart was in chaos. This brat has already seen through my weakness. He is only at the 6th grade of refining chi, so how could he see through my weakness? But with Tang Jing's previous performance that exceeded common sense, it seemed that seeing through his weakness was not a big deal. Thus he could not do as Tang Jing wished. Brat, you want to run in circles with me? Stop dreaming. Daoist Tianji waved his hand and the long sword flew back into his hand. Tang Jing was stunned for a moment before asking, why aren't you using the Imperial Sword technique? Continue. Daoist Tianji's face was ashen as he gnashed his teeth and said, don't think that I don't know what you're planning. You want to consume my innate chi, right? Dream on. Seeing that Daoist Tianji had seen through his intentions, Tang Jing did not panic as he said, if you don't use the Imperial Sword technique, then are you a match for the both of us? Daoist Tianji's face froze. This was a dead end. If he used the Imperial Sword technique, then Tang Jing would not be able to fight him head-on and would only consume his innate chi. If he did not use the Imperial Sword technique, then his power would be greatly reduced. With Tang Jing and Huangxiang working together, he would be in a passive position. In short, Daoist Tianji had fallen into this dead end. His eyes were bulging, but he was helpless as he could not find a way out of this dead end. This time it was Tang Jing's turn to take the initiative as he looked at Daoist Tianji with ridicule. Daoist Tianji, why don't you obediently surrender and then we won't have to fight? Tang Jing provoked. Wishful thinking. Kill. Daoist Tianji did not want to waste any more time as he held his sword in one hand and charged forward. This time Tang Jing did not retreat but instead attacked together with Huangxiang. The two of them had experienced the battle with Huangxi, so their coordination was quite good. Huangxiang was at the front like a human shield, protecting Tang Jing behind him, while Tang Jing was constantly looking for an opportunity to deal a painful blow to Daoist Tianji. Palm shadows flew out as they tangled with Daoist Tianji's sword. Back and forth it was incomparably intense. Huangxiang took a few more blows, but it was as if nothing had happened. Instead, the more he fought, the braver he became. Daoist Tianji, on the other hand, was not so relaxed, as Huangxiang's palm techniques were fierce and swift. As long as he was hit, he would suffer greatly. However, Huangxiang's defense was very tight and it was very difficult to deal a fatal blow to him. Daoist Tianji's face was bitter as he also had to be wary of Tang Jing, who was hiding behind Huangxiang. His multitasking caused his attacks to become more and more chaotic. Hey Tianchanzi, luckily I didn't listen to your advice and run, otherwise it would have been too difficult to wait for such an opportunity. Tang Jing said proudly. Do you think I wanted you to run? Isn't that something that can't be helped? Moreover, I can't bear to throw away such a good puppet. I must properly raise it, and in the future its cultivation will definitely surpass your imagination. Tianchanzi said longingly. Tang Jing's heart skipped a beat as he looked at Huangxiang's back and said, can he really cultivate to a very powerful level? Of course. Puppets have one advantage, and that is that they do not have any distracting thoughts. They can focus on cultivation, so their cultivation speed is much faster than normal people. Tang Jing suddenly realized, but he had to admit that Tianchanzi's move was very useful. If he did not have Huangxiang as a puppet, not to mention dealing with Huangxi, he would only be able to run away from this Daoist Tianji. Daoist Tianji's chi was quickly being consumed, but Huangxiang seemed to not know what fatigue was, causing him to be overwhelmed. Suddenly, Daoist Tianji roared as his sword pierced through Huangxiang's ribs and left his hand. He had once again used the Imperial Sword technique, but this time his speed was clearly not as fast as before. He had actually sneak attacked Tang Jing. Tang Jing's reaction was very fast as he leapt onto Huangxiang's shoulder and threw himself at Daoist Tianji. Battle Spirit's sword hummed incessantly as if it could smell the scent of fresh blood. Daoist Tianji was unarmed as he hurriedly retreated and summoned his sword to defend himself. Just as the sword flew past Huangxiang, Huangxiang suddenly stretched out his two palms and clasped them together. Peng, a muffled sound rang out as his two palms caught the sword. The sword trembled incessantly as if it was responding to its master's summons. However, Huang Xiang's expression did not change and his hands did not relax in the slightest. Fresh blood dripped from his palms onto the ground, but he was completely unaware of it. Tang Jing glanced at this scene from the corner of his eyes and was deeply shocked. The puppet's attack power was too strong and it did not fear death. Daoist Tianji clearly did not expect this move as his sword was controlled. He was unarmed and had no strength to resist Tang Jing. He retreated again and again until he reached the wall. Tang Jing was like a shadow as battle spirit appeared in front of his chest. Daoist Tianji was forced to helplessly extend his palms. Peng, he caught battle spirit. He seemed to want to learn from Huang Xiang, but he forgot that he was not a puppet. Tang Jing's lips curled into a cold smile. When Daoist Tianji saw this smile, his mind was shaken as he thought that things were not good. As expected, a light purple true fire shot out from the War Soul sword and quickly spread to Daoist Tianji's arms, directly drilling into his skin. Daoist Tianji was horrified and subconsciously loosened his grip, allowing the Battle Soul sword to pierce straight into his chest. Chapter 164. Daoist Tianji lowered his head, looking at his own chest in disbelief. That battle soul that flickered with a black light was so real. Fresh blood dripped down from the blade and dripped onto the ground, while a piercing pain filled his entire mind. Free novel portal, his face turned pale, and his lips began to tremble involuntarily. He subconsciously cried out in pain and wanted to raise his hands to counterattack, but found that his hands were powerless and he could no longer raise them. How is this possible? I am a first-grade foundation establishment, how can you kill me? Daoist Tianji was dumbstruck and in disbelief, hoping that this was all an illusion. Tang Jing coldly snorted and did not waste words with him. He quickly grabbed his head and used the soul-searching technique. Daoist Tianji's heart had already been pierced and he would immediately die. Tang Jing had to grab this last chance to search his brain for information. Soul-searching technique. Daoist Tianji was shocked, his eyes almost popping out, but he had no way to resist. He screamed out, "No!" The screams came to an abrupt end as the soul-searching technique had already taken effect. Daoist Tianji's eyes immediately became sluggish and his life was quickly draining away. After a moment, Tang Jing released his hand and his expression became serious. His guess seemed to be correct. Because there were too few cultivators in this world and martial artists were growing stronger day by day, there were many martial artist experts and there seemed to be a mysterious organization that was hostile to cultivators. Daoist Tianji had once encountered people from this organization, but they were all killed by Daoist Tianji. However, Daoist Tianji understood that behind these people, there was definitely an expert that he could not provoke. Therefore, these past few years, the master and disciple did not dare to act with great fanfare and only carefully searched for other cultivators. Luckily, I did not expose myself. Otherwise this mysterious organization would definitely come looking for me. Even Daoist Tianji is afraid of them, so I am definitely not their opponent. Tang Jing said with a lingering fear in his heart. This world was far more dangerous than he had imagined. Tian Chanzi's mood was clearly more complicated than Tang Jing's. He muttered to himself in disbelief, "How is this possible?" Back then, cultivators and martial artists coexisted, but the strength of cultivators definitely surpassed that of martial artists. Why was it that after 1,000 years martial artists prospered, while cultivators were few and far between? Even being chased by martial artists, this xianxia are too cowardly. As a powerful cultivator from 1,000 years ago, Tian Chanzi was undoubtedly very proud, but now he found that this pride had actually faded with the development of time. "No, brat, you must revive the glory of the cultivators. Cultivators cannot decline." Tian Chanzi suddenly roared at the top of his lungs. "Moreover, I believe that there are definitely cultivators in this world, although I don't know why they are hiding and what happened in the past 1,000 years. Tang Jing was stunned. He had never seen such an abnormal emotion from him. He hurriedly advised, "Tian Chanzi, the times are changing. There's nothing to be surprised about. Look at how many dynasties have risen and fallen. This is the law of nature." "Nonsense. Dynasties can disappear, but cultivators will never disappear. The dignity of cultivators cannot be trampled on." Tian Chanzi was so agitated that he could not control himself. Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry as he asked, "Tian Chanzi, when did you have such a sense of honor?" "This is not a sense of honor but a sense of self-respect. Look at the information in Daoist Tianji's mind. There are actually martial artists that are hunting down cultivators. This is the biggest joke in the world." "What are martial artists?" They actually dare to contend with cultivators. Xianxia said disdainfully. Tang Jing was speechless. He could only say, "Wait until you are reborn. Won't you be able to work hard towards your goal? Why would you need me? Moreover, my cultivation is still too low." "What do you know? Although my cultivation is higher than yours, I can foresee that your future achievements will definitely be higher than mine. Moreover, you have the 9 Yang Saint body. You also have the ancient clear heaven scroll. It seems that this is the will of the heavens for you to bring cultivators back to glory." Tang Jing did not know whether to laugh or cry. With just a few words, Xianxia had placed such a heavy burden on his shoulders. This caused his little heart to be unable to bear it. He also felt that it was very unreal. "Xianxia, didn't you say that I am not human? Don't let others discover my secret. Now that you have me carry such a heavy burden, aren't you just putting me in front of everyone? Even if the martial artists do not kill me, in the future other cultivators will know that my true fire is in my sea of consciousness. Then wouldn't I only have one path, death?" This? Xianxia was stumped. "So, let's not talk about such a high and mighty problem. I should focus on increasing my cultivation first," Tang Jing said. Xianxia helplessly let out a long sigh. "Then we can only do this. Let's see if Taoist Tianji has any treasures." Tang Jing felt his heart heat up as he hurriedly searched. There was nothing. That's right, just now I discovered that there was a memory in his mind. It seems that he has hidden his secret manuals and cultivation techniques in a certain place. Let's go look for it. Taoist Tianji snorted disdainfully. His cultivation technique is so weak. What is there to look for? Tang Jing did not agree. Taoist Tianji had cultivated for tens of years, so there was bound to be something worth learning from. There was no harm in taking a look. Moreover, if those cultivation techniques fell into the hands of others, it might not be a good thing, so it was best to look for them. However, the grade of his sword is clearly higher than your battle spirit. You can keep it, Xianxia suggested. Tang Jing's gaze fell on the long sword. This sword was a bit longer than Tang Jing's sword and was much thinner. It shone with a cold light, like the flowing autumn water. It was not as dark as the War Soul sword, and its appearance was much better. This is a Huang grade magic weapon. It is much stronger than ordinary swords, so of course I have to collect it. Xianxia doesn't have any magic weapons, right? This sword is perfect for her, Tang Jing happily said. In the past I had collected quite a few magic weapons, but they were all lost in the final battle. Otherwise I would not have let my disciple use a Huang grade magic weapon, Xianxia said regretfully. It seemed that letting Fang Xianxia use a Huang grade magic weapon was a loss of face for him. Tang Jing laughed involuntarily and ridiculed. "Xianxia, anyone can talk big. The key is that you don't have a single magic weapon and you don't even have a greeting gift for your disciple. I want to see how you will have the face to see Xianxia." Xianxia awkwardly coughed and said, "I don't have one. Could it be that I don't know how to find one? Moreover, didn't Taoist Tianji just say that Mu Hongyan's deceased husband had a magic weapon?" Tang Jing's heart moved. Just now he had used the soul-searching technique to find out that this magic weapon was actually a mysterious grade magic weapon. It was a grade higher than battle spirit. No wonder Taoist Tianji wanted to kill him and steal it. But that person is already dead. How am I supposed to find it? Tang Jing said disappointedly. "Little brat, I said you were an idiot, but you didn't believe me. He is dead, but Mu Hongyan is still alive. Mu Hongyan is not a simple woman, so you can ask her if she knows the details. Taoist Tianji did not obtain this magic weapon and you killed him. This can be considered as taking revenge for Mu Hongyan's deceased husband. Moreover, if this magic weapon does not appear in this world, wouldn't it be like a pearl covered in dust? So if you find this magic weapon, it can be considered a good thing," Xianxia advised. Tang Jing's heart moved. The temptation of a mysterious grade magic weapon could not be said to be small. Tang Jing now understood more and more the importance of magic weapons. If he had this magic weapon, then when he faced other experts his battle prowess would definitely increase by a lot. Okay, after the college entrance exam I will find time to go to Dianan. In any case, I have already promised Nana that I will go see her. I will take the opportunity to see if there is any trace of this magic weapon's whereabouts. Tang Jing made up his mind. Xianxia laughed and praised, "That's right. You must take advantage of every opportunity to increase your strength." Tang Jing looked at the messy warehouse and dialed Lin Hu's number. "Huzi, come clean up the warehouse. There is a corpse." "Young Master Tang, what happened? I heard from Dao Zai that you are in trouble. I was just thinking of going over to help. Is there someone who is blind enough to provoke you?" Lin, whose imposing manner was aggressive. Tang Jing lightly said, "The matter has already been resolved. You can just send someone to the warehouse. I will wait for you." "I will be right there." "Young Master Tang, tonight the ordinary balance's movements are too big. I don't know who is causing trouble. Our people are already investigating. We have just taken down the ordinary balance. We absolutely cannot be in chaos," Lin Hu indignantly said. Tang Jing helplessly smiled bitterly and said, "This movement was caused by me. You don't have to worry about it." So it was young Master Tang. No wonder there was such a big movement. I thought some powerful dragon came to ordinary balance, Lin Hu exclaimed and then hung up the phone. More than 10 minutes later, a car stopped in front of the warehouse. "Young Master Tang," Lin Hu greeted from afar. Behind him were Dong Zai and Dao Zai, his two trusted aides, clearly for the sake of secrecy. "Tonight the police have all been dispatched and our people have all been questioned. However, there are no major issues." Hi hey, who would have thought that it was young Master Tang's handiwork? However, the movement was truly too big. I heard that there were quite a few shops in the business district that were damaged. Moreover, the ground was also heavily damaged. It was as if it had been smashed by a 10,000 gene boulder. It was full of potholes just like the surface of the moon, Lin Hu excitedly said. Tang Jing shook his head. This kind of large movement was not what he wanted. However, Daoist Tianji's unbridled attack was truly unable to quiet down the commotion. "Don't just watch the show. Clean him up." Tang Jing pointed at Daoist Tianji on the ground and said. Lin Hu did not ask who this person was, as this was his duty as a subordinate. He solemnly waved his hand and Dao Zai and Dong Zai moved the corpse into the trunk of the car. "Clean it up," Tang Jing warned. "Understood." Lin Hu nodded his head as his gaze involuntarily fell on Huang Xiang's body. The wounds and blood on his body were a ghastly sight, causing several people's hearts to jump. They could not help but look at Huang Xiang with a whole new level of respect and fear. "Bring him back to treat his wounds." Tang Jing pointed at Huang Xiang and said. "Yes. In addition, you are not allowed to mention this matter to anyone. Do you understand?" Tang Jing's gaze turned cold. Several people's hearts trembled as they hurriedly said, "Young Master Tang, rest assured. Even if we die, we will take this matter to our stomachs." Tang Jing's prestige grew day by day, causing several people to gradually feel the pressure. Tang Jing nodded his head in satisfaction as he walked out of the warehouse towards the place where Daoist Tianji had hidden his secret technique. Chapter 165. Looking at the empty cave, Tang Jing couldn't help but be dumbstruck. How did the secret book disappear? Shouldn't it be in this cave? Daoist Tianji had the habit of a crafty rabbit having 3 burrows. He would never carry his secret book on him because he was afraid of meeting a strong opponent and having it stolen. This secret book was not a martial art. As long as someone looked at it, they would be able to see through his identity as a cultivator. This was no different from asking for trouble. Thus, every time he went to a place he would secretly hide the secret book. This time was no exception as he hid the secret book in this cave. The location of this cave was very remote and it was hard for a normal person to find it. However, the secret book flew away without wings. What happened? Tang Jing's gaze became serious. There must be a demon behind this abnormality. Perhaps these secret manuals were not of much use to him, but since they had mysteriously disappeared, he had to get to the bottom of this. Otherwise, he would always feel uneasy in his heart. He wandered around the cave for a long time but was unable to find any clues. Just who was it that took the secret book? Tang Jing was puzzled but had no other choice. He could only leave the cave and once again return to Fang Shishir's house. However, he found that there was already a police cordon and many police officers were still there, questioning the residents. Tang Jing also saw Fang Shishir in the crowd. She had already finished cultivating. Fang Chonghua and Shi Mingqin had bitter faces as they looked back at the dilapidated villa. They wanted to cry but had no tears. The two of them were sleeping soundly when they were awoken by the huge commotion outside. When they saw the scene in their house, they really wanted to curse out loud. Who did the Fang clan provoke? They attracted this unexpected calamity. If they were to know that this was all because of Tang Jing, they would probably take a stick and chase Tang Jing away. Fang Shishir flew towards Tang Jing with a puzzled expression. She was previously immersed in her cultivation and did not know the situation outside. Tang Jing held her hand and squeezed it, quietly saying, "The enemy has already been dealt with." Fang Shishir's eyes lit up. Tonight's matter was done by the heavenly secret Taoist, right? Her memory of the beggar-like heavenly secret Taoist was still fresh in her mind. Tang Jing nodded his head. He will never come and bother us again. Fang Shishir covered her mouth in surprise as her eyes widened. You killed him? Tang Jing did not deny it and said, he is a huge threat. If I don't kill him, he will kill me. If I kill someone, are you afraid of me? Tang Jing used to be a good student. At most, he had killed chickens. However, it was especially at this time that he could not show any shock or fear. Instead, he acted as if nothing had happened and lightly said, oh, you're talking about this. Teacher Lu bit me. Teacher Lu Qingmei? Fang Shishir was even more shocked than before. Her eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Why would she bite you? Did you do something to her? What are you thinking about? Tang Jing felt a bit guilty, but his expression was calm. Last time when I saved her from the hands of a criminal, I was accidentally bitten by her. Could it be that she was kidnapped a few days ago? Right, didn't I also go out to look for her? I just happened to find her with a policeman and conveniently saved her. You also know that I am very willing to help others. Tang Jing shamelessly said. Fang Shishir suspiciously looked at him. Seeing that he didn't have any abnormalities, she finally relaxed. She patted her chest, feeling that her reaction was a bit too extreme. She embarrassedly smiled and said, I also feel that it's impossible between you and Teacher Lu. She's a nice goddess. How many people want to get close to her? That's right, do you have any thoughts towards her? Tang Jing hurriedly said, absolutely not. Don't I already have you? You don't mean what you say. Tian Chanzi appeared and disdainfully said, this disciple of mine is just too kind. She can even believe the words of a man. If that's the case, then even pigs can climb trees. Tang Jing really wanted to roll his eyes. Aren't you a man? Of course I am, but I don't like women. Ah, could it be that you like men? Gay. Nonsense, I wholeheartedly cultivate. How could I have the leisure to think about a mess of male and female affairs? Tian Chanzi flew into a rage. Aren't you the one who forced me to do this? You even want me to cast a wide net to catch more fish. Tang Jing retorted. Hi hey, isn't this because of your special constitution? Tian Chanzi bitterly smiled. Tang Jing did not want to be entangled in this topic with him. Seeing Fang Shishir beaming with joy, he hurriedly changed the topic. Hurry up and pack up. You have so many things it will take you half a day to pack up. The family packed up quite a few things and moved overnight to their new home. Only then did Tang Jing leave under Shi Mingqin's covetous gaze. Ordinary Balance's big movements became the topic of many people's conversations, but no one took it seriously. However, there were some people who took it seriously and were extremely cautious. When the sun was high up in the sky, several black off-road vehicles screamed as they arrived at the villa district. Most of the people here had already left, but the traces left behind from last night were even more obvious under the sunlight. It was a ghastly sight. A pair of long legs stepped out of the off-road vehicle. Beneath her feet were a pair of flat shoes, but when this person completely stood on the ground, she was like a crane in a flock of chickens. A height of 1.8 meters could be considered normal for a man, but for a woman, it was absolutely like a crane in a flock of chickens. This made her look a bit taller than the men beside her. Moreover, she did not have the common weakness of many tall women, a large frame. However, her frame was on the smaller side, so she looked very well proportioned. Her face was also very beautiful. Her pair of eyes were like a sharp blade hidden in her bangs, making it difficult for others to see through her thoughts. However, her aura made it impossible for others to ignore her. They were even unable to look directly at her, making them feel timid in their hearts. She walked towards the villa that was riddled with holes, and the police who were left behind to guard it immediately welcomed her. Who are you? This is the crime scene, you are not allowed to approach. She acted as if she did not hear anything and removed the yellow police tape, completely ignoring the two police officers. This aura caused the police officers to unconsciously take half a step back. I'm warning you, you are not allowed to come any closer. Otherwise we won't be polite. The two police officers placed their hands on their holsters ready to fire. She still did not listen and walked straight to the villa entrance. She quickly extended a hand. Her hand was not white, but rather a healthy wheat color. Bang! This hand grabbed the wall of the villa, and the hard brick was like a piece of tofu. Her seemingly weak fingers pierced into it, and then she pulled outwards, and a piece of broken marble appeared in her hand. The police officers at the side were already dumbfounded. This skill was too scary, and it was even a woman. However, they still remembered their duty and immediately took out their pistols and pointed them at her. Don't move or we'll shoot. She still did not react, only staring at the marble, as if the attraction of the stone was far greater than the two pistols. Let's go. She finally opened her mouth. Her voice was very clear and melodious, just like an oriole, which was extremely inconsistent with her tall and lofty figure. A man's voice came from the car. Wu, are you sure? Her name was Wu, one word, a very strange name. Wu nodded, I'm sure. Then he walked straight to the SUV and got in without saying a word. The others filed in, and the SUV roared away as if it had never appeared. The two police officers did not dare to shoot from the beginning to the end. Although Wu was right in front of them and the provocation was very strong, they did not have the courage to pull the trigger. Chapter 166. Inside the car the atmosphere was heavy. Wu Dama sat down and said, This is a battle between two cultivators and they are not weak. I suspect that the members we lost last time were killed by one of them. Please add. Are you sure? The man's voice rang out again. Wu muttered to himself for a while, I'm sure, my intuition has never been wrong. Last time our people were too careless so they fell into the enemy's trap. But this time we will go all out so this group of people will not be able to get any benefits. The man's voice revealed a hint of a smile, without the decisiveness of Wu's killing intent. This group of cultivators, we must kill them all. If they dare to come to our world to cause trouble, then don't even think about living. Wu said with a murderous look. This time 2 people appeared. I don't know who the other person is. No matter who it is, they will all die. Killing all cultivators is the purpose of our martial sect. Wu's voice revealed a biting chill. But this time it's really strange. A small ordinary balance would actually attract 2 cultivators. Is there anything special about this place? No, this is just an ordinary city. I heard that Yi Tianlei is an ordinary balance. He is a local tyrant. Find him and investigate. Maybe he knows something about what happened last night. Wu suggested. Alright. The car drove towards the Ye family's mansion and finally stopped in front of the Ye family. Wu got out of the car and said to the guard, Call Yi Tianlei to see me. Wu was only in his 20s, but he directly called Yi Tianlei by his name, causing the guard to turn pale with fright. Why are you looking for our master? Wu's eyebrows immediately furrowed. She did not even look at the guard. With a tap of her foot, she soared into the sky. The several-meter-tall door was like flat ground under her feet. She steadily landed in the courtyard and walked towards the house with small steps. Her steps were small but her speed was fast. In an instant she arrived at the door of the house. Feng Xinyang had already come out to welcome her. Obviously he had heard the guard's report. Feng Xinyang's eyes turned cold. She stared at the person and asked cautiously, Who are you? Tell Yi Tianlei to come out. Marshall completely ignored Feng Xinyang and went straight to the point. If you want to find Yi Tianlei, you'll have to get past me first. Feng Xinyang had an unkind expression on her face. Since the other party had come with ill intentions, the hot-tempered Feng Xinyang naturally would not be afraid. However, she was very surprised at the other party's cultivation. At such a young age he was actually a first-grade innate stage, the same as her cultivation. However, Feng Xinyang was older than her by more than 10 years. From this, it could be seen that martial arts were not simple. Are you Feng Xinyang? Marshall asked. You know me? 20 years ago, your reputation in the capital was not small. Of course I know. I heard from others that you were a heaven-defying genius. You did not become a disciple of any famous master, but you comprehended your own martial arts from some miscellaneous martial arts. Your strength is not inferior to those famous disciples. Marshall listed Feng Xinyang's great achievements as if he was familiar with his family's treasures. Feng Xinyang laughed. After so many years there are still people who remember my name, Feng Xinyang. I don't know if I should be happy or not. Marshall shook his head seriously. You shouldn't be happy because I remember you. You will definitely taste the taste of failure and be stepped on by me. Hee hee, little girl, you boast shamelessly. Marshall replied to Feng Xinyang with actions. She took a small step forward and her hand was already in front of Feng Xinyang. She also said, The consummate skill you comprehended is called wind-fire blade. The wind is like fire and the fire is like a blade. It is a very strong martial art. It is reasonable to say that a woman is not suitable to cultivate this kind of martial art. However, you, Feng Xinyang, have comprehended it. Moreover, it is very powerful. Today I will also use the strongest yang martial art to fight with you. As her voice fell, Marshall's hand chopped down like a blade. It was even more frightening than a real blade. This hand blade carried a biting cold yang qi. It was even more manly than a man. Feng Xinyang also made his move. It was also a hand blade. It carried the wind. This wind was like a blazing fire. It whistled as it welcomed the attack. Bang! The two hand blades chopped together. A muffled sound rang out. A gust of wind rose from the place where the hand blades came in contact. The wind blew the hair of the two people back. Both of their faces were very serious. However, their eyes became brighter and brighter. It was as if they had met their life's opponent. Good martial art. What kind of martial art is this? Feng Xinyang asked. Roaring flame blade. Roaring flame blade. The blade was like a raging flame. It was extremely masculine. Good name. Then I will use my windfire blade to test your roaring flame blade. Feng Xinyang shouted in a low voice. Her body straightened. In an instant she gave people a feeling of being tall. She was only 1.6 meters tall. Compared to Martial, who was 1.8 meters tall, she looked very petite. However, when she straightened her body, it was as if she had suddenly grown several tens of centimeters. It made people feel that she was instantly tall. This kind of imposing manner was on par with Martial. It completely made up for the difference in height between the two. Interesting. The corner of Martial's mouth curled up. A very beautiful arc appeared. However, even this arc carried a kind of masculine beauty. It formed a strong contrast with her. It gave people a huge visual impact. The two of them took a step back at the same time. Then they moved forward again. Another hand blade. The air seemed to have been ignited. With a crackling sound, an invisible wave of chi rippled out. The flowers and plants in front of the door were cut in half. It was a complete mess. As the parties involved, the two of them were like machines. They repeatedly waved their hand blades and chopped at each other. Things in all directions were affected. Not only were the flowers and plants in a mess, even the walls of the house had gullies. Debris flew everywhere. Stop! Suddenly an angry roar rang out. Yitianlei rushed out of the house and punched towards Martial. The air was compressed to the extreme in an instant. Following this punch, the air produced a muffled sound like that of thunder. The fist went straight for Martial's face. However, Martial acted as if she did not see it. She continued to wave her hand blade as if the fist was not aimed at her at all. If she were to be hit by this fist, her head would probably explode. However, in the end, there was no scene of blood splattering everywhere. A hand appeared beside Martial. It had always been a very white hand. It was almost abnormal. It formed a strong visual contrast with Martial's wheat-colored skin. This hand was not big. It was much smaller than Yi Tianlei's hand. However, this hand stretched out its 5 fingers and wrapped around Yi Tianlei's fist. The fist could no longer move forward and steadily stopped in front of Martial's face. Don't fight. Fighting is the most boring thing. The owner of the hand said. He was not tall. He was only 1.7 meters tall. He was very weak. Standing beside Martial, he was like a child. His face was full of smiles. That smile was like a spring breeze. However, Yi Tianlei did not feel the slightest bit of a spring breeze. Instead, he was shocked. Truly shocked. This small man was about the same age as Yi Tianlei. However, because of the smile on his face, it made him look much younger and harmless. However, Yi Tianlei knew that he could not see through the opponent's cultivation. Moreover, when his fist hit the opponent's palm, it was like hitting cotton. There was not even the slightest bit of rebound. The palm absorbed all the power of his fist. Yi Tianlei was very clear about the power of his fist. However, the opponent absorbed it so easily. He found it hard to believe. Who are you people? Yi Tianlei asked in a deep voice. The man let go of his hand and Martial and Feng Xinyang both stopped at the same time. Feng Xinyang stared at the other party like a tiger watching its prey. Towards this uninvited guest, she and her husband were too afraid. I am called Dingy. She is called Martial. The man smiled and pointed at himself. He then pointed at Martial. Then from his pocket he took out a token made of an unknown material. On it the word Martial was engraved. The token flashed in front of Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang before it was put into his pocket. However, the two of them clearly saw it. Feng Xinyang did not have much of a reaction. She even revealed a puzzled expression. However, she instantly saw her husband's reaction was very big. The two of them had known each other for dozens of years. She had never seen him have such a big reaction. Even the corner of his mouth slightly twitched. He blurted out, "Martial organization?" Dingy smiled and nodded. I knew that Yi Tianlei would recognize this token. My guess was not wrong. Martial organization. It really is the martial organization. Yi Tianlei loudly cried out in his heart. He had only heard his father mention this martial organization once. However, that time was unforgettable. The martial organization is a very special organization. It is above the government and the large families. This organization is said to have been established for nearly 1,000 years. There are many experts and no one dares to contend with them. This organization rarely interferes with the large families and the government. Their purpose is not known to outsiders. However, as long as the martial organization appears, it will be a very serious matter. If one is targeted by the martial organization, then it is really the death god's gaze. That year Yi Xuanji had warned Yi Tianlei not to be involved with the martial organization. Even more so, he must not be the enemy of the martial organization. Otherwise, even if it is the Ye family, they will only be crushed into powder. Yi Xuanji's earnest teachings were still ringing in Yi Tianlei's ears. Today Yi Tianlei finally saw a real martial organization person. Although the token only had a simple martial word on it, it was still a martial organization token. No one dared to doubt its authenticity and no one dared to forge this token. Moreover, to many people, the martial organization is an organization that does not exist. Only the top powers in the world know of its existence. Feng Xinyang looked at her husband's face, which was constantly changing. She already understood the seriousness of the matter. She was especially vigilant towards these two people. Her body was in a state of battle readiness, ready to attack at any time. As for the two words martial organization, she had never heard of it. She was very curious, but she did not ask. Yi Tianlei took a deep breath. Trying to suppress his inner emotions, he asked in a deep voice, "May I ask why the martial organization is looking for me, Yi Tianlei?" Ding Yi's smile became wider and said, "Not bad. Unexpectedly, you are not intimidated by the name of the martial organization. In these years, among the people I have met, you, Yi Tianlei, can be considered one of the best. I took the trouble to look for you. Of course there is a matter. However, your hospitality is really questionable. You actually did not invite the two of us in to have a seat." Ding Yi's tone was like that of a good friend. However, Yi Tianlei did not dare to treat him as a friend. Even if his heart was unwilling, he could only extend his hand and say, "Please." Chapter 167. Both sides sat down and Ding Yi looked around, smiling as he sighed. "You two husband and wife have developed well in ordinary balance these past few years. Sogu 360 So-So Search JDX's free novel? You flatter me," Yi Tianlei said cautiously. No need to be so nervous. I won't kill anyone. Although I have killed many people in the past, I am not in the mood to kill today." Ding Yi waved his hand, laughing and joking, but his words revealed a killing intent that made people's heart palpitate. Marshall kept staring at Feng Xinyang with a serious expression. Her killing intent was very strong, completely different from Ding Yi's smiling face. Yi Tianlei glanced at Marshall and then turned his gaze back to Ding Yi. Compared to Marshall, who showed off her abilities, this Ding Yi made him even more unsure, making him even more fearful. "I wonder what the two of you are here for?" Yi Tianlei asked in a deep voice. Ding Yi smiled. "I'll have to trouble the two of you to help me find a person. After all, you are the local tyrants." "Oh, I don't know." Ding Yi shook his head. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang frowned at the same time and said, "Are the two of you making fun of us?" "Of course not. We don't know who the person we are looking for is, but we have a clue. Last night Ordinary Balance made such a big commotion, you should know about it, right?" Yi Tianlei nodded, waiting for the other to continue. "We want to find out who made such a big commotion." Ding Yi finally revealed the purpose of their trip. Yi Tianlei shook his head. "I am about to return to Beijing, so I don't care about Ordinary Balance, so I can't help the two of you." "Oh, so the two of you won't cooperate?" Ding Yi asked. "It's not that we don't want to cooperate, but we don't know." Yi Tianlei explained, not wanting the other to misunderstand. "So it's like that, but with the two of you controlling Ordinary Balance, it shouldn't be hard to find out the truth," Ding Yi slowly said. "Just who are you looking for?" Feng Xinyang couldn't help but ask. "Enemy," Marshall coldly replied. "I don't think anyone in Ordinary Balance is qualified to be your enemy," Feng Xinyang retorted. Although she did not understand what kind of organization the martial organization was, from her husband's reaction, she could see the strength of this organization. They had stayed in a small place like Ordinary Balance for more than 20 years, but they had never found such a powerful person. Ding Yi smiled and said, "Feng Xinyang, is this a compliment to the Wu Zone?" "Ah, thanks a lot. But who knows what will happen in this world? That person last night is our enemy, and the enemy of the martial organization." As he spoke, he looked deeply into Yi Tianlei's eyes. Yi Tianlei understood the meaning behind his gaze, but he was incomparably shocked. Just who was this person that could actually become the enemy of a martial organization? "Then I'll change the question. Are there any strange people in ordinary balance recently? For example, some aspects that are beyond common sense. Ding Yi asked again. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang's hearts simultaneously flashed a person, but they immediately hid this thought, not revealing the slightest trace of it. Ordinary balance is like an ancient well without ripples. There really isn't such a powerful person. Yi Tianlei said. You're lying. Martial suddenly loudly reprimanded. Just now you hesitated for a moment. You must have thought of someone, right? Martial's aggressive attitude made Feng Xinyang very unhappy, and she immediately retorted, Since you don't believe us, why ask us? Ding Yi smiled and waved his hand. There is no need to be so angry. The two of you carefully think about it. This person is the enemy of our martial organization. Yi Tianlei, you should be clear on the seriousness of this matter. Yi Tianlei of course was clear on the seriousness of this matter, but he did not believe that Tang Zheng was the person they were looking for. To be able to become the enemy of a martial organization, he must be an extremely powerful person. How could he be a martial organization martial artist that had just started practicing martial arts? However, Tang Zheng's miraculous performance had left a deep impression on him. The average person would not be able to do this, so he and Feng Xinyang both thought of Tang Zheng. The two of you, there is no need to use the martial organization's name to scare me. The martial organization is indeed powerful, and of course I also know the seriousness of this matter. However, I truly do not know who the two of you are looking for is. This ordinary balance is also not worth the two of you making such a big fuss over. Yi Tianlei thought for a moment and seriously said. Ding Yi smiled. I heard that Yi Xuanji failed to break through to the martial scholar realm and was injured. Originally, he did not have much time left, but he was healed by ordinary balance. However, he is very secretive about this matter. I believe that the two of you should know the details. If you still say that ordinary balance is not a special person, then I'm afraid that no one would believe you. Yi Tianlei's heart thumped. This matter was only known to the few people involved. He did not expect that the other party would also think of this matter. However, Yi Tianlei still calmly said, This is all due to the efforts of the King of Medicine. Ding Yi shook his head. This is really distressing. Even at this time you still won't speak the truth. How can the King of Medicine's abilities not be known by the martial organization? Just who was it that saved Yi Xuanji? It is still not too late to say it now. I don't know what you are talking about. Yi Tianlei firmly said. Ding Yi shrugged his shoulders. Then there is nothing to talk about. If there is nothing to talk about, then let's fight. I don't like to talk anyway. Listening to you being so long-winded for so long is completely useless. Martial impatiently said. Ding Yi spread out his hands. Everything can be discussed first. This is the normal procedure. Moreover, if we fight without discussing, others will think that the martial organization is unreasonable. Since when does the martial organization need to care about what others think? Martial coldly said. That is true. The smile on Ding Yi's face became even wider, but it made people panic. This smile had a very dangerous taste to it. There are guests in the house. Yi Dingdang walked in and curiously looked at the two strangers. Your two daughters are already so big. Ding Yi said with a smile. Feng Xinyang stood up and pulled Yi Dingdang to her side and said, The two of you, our house does not welcome you. Please leave. So you are saying that you will not cooperate? Ding Yi asked. Yi Tianlei also stood up. It is not that we do not want to cooperate, but that we do not have the information you want. Oh, then there is no other way. Marshal, it seems that we can only use your method. Ding Yi shrugged his shoulders and helplessly said. Marshal stood up and in an instant the atmosphere in the hall changed. Swords were drawn and bows were drawn. Yi Dingdang stared with wide eyes. Although she did not understand what was going on, it was clear that they did not come with good intentions. In addition, the other side's oppressive aura made her heart tremble. She could not help but ask, What are they doing? Of course it is to fight, little miss. Ding Yi said with a smile. Yi Dingdang's eyes trembled. She did not back down and said, Then you will have to pass through me first. She was truly a newborn calf that was not afraid of the tiger. She jumped up and was about to rush towards the other side. Fortunately, Feng Xinyang's eyes were sharp and his hands were quick. He grabbed her and said in an unprecedentedly strict voice, Do not move. They have already come knocking on our door. Don't tell me we can't fight back? Yi Dingdang said indignantly. Feng Xinyang whispered into her ear in a voice that only the two of them could hear, This battle is unavoidable. The other side's background is very big and their strength is also very strong. When the fight starts, you should quickly leave and find the little handsome brother. Hide, you must not be discovered by these two people. Yi Dingdang was about to refute when she heard Feng Xinyang sternly say, "This time you must listen to me." Yi Dingdang swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. She was not an insensible person. Seeing that her parents were so cautious, the other side must be very powerful. "Are you done whispering to each other?" Ding Yi asked with interest. Dingdang, quickly leave. Feng Xinyang pushed Yi Dingdang towards the door and like a bullet, he flew out of the hall. Martial's figure flashed and wanted to intercept him, but Feng Xinyang quickly attacked Martial and blocked her path. Ding Yi did not move and slowly stood up. He looked at Yi Tianlei and said, "You make the first move. Otherwise, if I make the first move, you won't have any leeway to retaliate." Yi Tianlei did not question the other's arrogance. Just based on the fact that the other side had casually received his fist, he had the qualifications to say such words. Roar! Yi Tianlei let out a low roar and rushed forward like a bull. His fist rushed forward without any fancy moves. It looked like a simple punch. However, in front of an expert, the power of this punch was not to be underestimated. Ding Yi stretched out his hand. His hand was very soft as he lightly welcomed the punch. Without a sound, the fist directly hit Ding Yi's palm. Ding Yi's hand was pushed back a few centimeters and then quickly wrapped around it. Yi Tianlei was very clear that as long as his opponent's hand wrapped around his fist, he would not be able to attack. Thus, he hastily withdrew his fist and took a small step back. Ding Yi's hand was like a shadow, always a few centimeters away from Yi Tianlei's fist. Seeing this, Yi Tianlei punched out with both his fists. Two strong gusts of wind swept out and attacked Ding Yi. Ding Yi was calm and composed, his face still had a smile. Like before, his hand gently brushed past the two fists. Yi Tianlei felt as if he had been hit by 1,000 caddies of heavy force and involuntarily took a few steps back. This seemingly simple sweep was actually more powerful than Yi Tianlei's two fists. It was hard to believe. What kind of martial arts is this? Soft palm. Ding Yi said. Yi Tianlei's eyebrows wrinkled. He had heard of this martial art before. It was very difficult to get started in this martial art, and it was even more difficult to train to a certain level. However, once one reached a higher level, the power was extremely terrifying. Using softness to overcome strength, Yi Tianlei's attack was stronger than his opponent's counterattack. Of course, if one's martial arts far exceeded the opponent's, then one could still use a strong enough attack to destroy the opponent's seemingly invincible soft palm. Yi Tianlei, it's not too late for you to speak now. Otherwise it will really be too late. This matter is far more serious than you can imagine. Ding Yi said. Yi Tianlei coldly snorted. There's nothing to say. Your martial organization uses your power to bully others. If I don't die, then I definitely won't let this matter rest. Since that's the case, then I won't be polite. Ding Yi floated forward as if he had escaped the gravitational pull of the planet. His palm swept towards Yi Tianlei. Chapter 168. Yi Tianlei sent out a fist and Ding Yi sent out a palm. The fist and palm collided. Yi Tianlei let out a muffled groan as he staggered back, clearly suffering a great loss. Please add. Ding Yi took advantage of this as his soft palm rushed forward, pressing towards Yi Tianlei's chest. Yi Tianlei's two fists were reversed and placed in front of his chest, but it was like a clay ox entering the sea. Ding Yi's palm produced a large suction force that swallowed up all of the energy on his fists and then wrapped around Yi Tianlei's palm. Ho! Yi Tianlei faced the sky and roared, wanting to break free from the two hands but to no avail. He retreated, Ding Yi advanced, one retreated, one advanced, the two of them went from the center of the hall to the wall. A loud sound rang out as the wall was smashed into pieces, forming a human shape. Yi Tianlei's face was red, his eyes were filled with anger, but there was nothing he could do. I already said that if I made a move, you wouldn't have the power to fight back. Ding Yi lightly said, full of confidence. Yi Tianlei was unresigned as he angrily roared, that may not be the case. His two fists actually scattered, the internal energy on his fists also quickly disappeared as he broke free from the two soft palms. At the same time, the veins on Yi Tianlei's forehead popped out, clearly he was in great pain. Ding Yi was flabbergasted. Impressive, you actually dispersed your internal energy and broke free from my restraints. You have keen eyes to be able to see through my weakness in an instant. But without the protection of your internal energy, your hand will be heavily injured. As if to prove the validity of his words, with a kacha sound, Yi Tianlei's fingers broke. The pain on his face became even more intense as he clenched his teeth, ignoring the pain, and once again clenched his fists. Boom! A loud sound rang out as a wave of air surged out. Ding Yi's chest was hit by the two fists and was sent flying. Ding Yi's face suddenly changed, His smile had a trace of coldness as he coldly said, "Strong, strong, you actually did not hesitate to injure me. I have to admit that you Yi Tianlei are not simple, but in the end you are not my opponent." Ding Yi's heel fiercely stomped on the ground, stopping his retreat. Then like a catkin he floated over. Yi Tianlei wanted to block, but the other's hand was already on his chest. Yi Tianlei flew out like a cannonball, fiercely smashing into the wall. With a boom, a large hole appeared in the wall. Feng Xinyang saw this scene and turned pale with fright. "Heavenly thunder! No matter who you are, I will kill you." Feng Xinyang roared as he chopped at Martial's head. A ripple appeared in the air as Martial also used a roaring flame blade. With a rumbling sound, Martial was actually sent flying. Feng Xinyang's mouth immediately began to bleed. It was clear that in order to force the enemy to retreat, she had used this move and her internal organs had been shaken. However, she no longer cared about her injuries as she rushed towards Yi Tianlei and hurriedly helped him up. Yi Tianlei's face was deathly pale, the clothes on his chest had been torn apart and a palm print was imprinted on his chest. It was a ghastly sight. "If you have the guts, then kill us. Otherwise, I will definitely find you for revenge and kill everyone in your martial organization." Feng Xinyang roared. "Hee, don't be angry. Victory and defeat are common in war. I already said that I do not want to kill anyone today, so you will temporarily not die." Ding Yi's smile was still the same, but it made people feel a chill from the bottom of their hearts. Ding Yi and Martial walked step by step towards Feng Xinyang. Feng Xinyang carried her husband on her back and retreated step by step out of the hole in the wall. "Want to escape? I'm afraid it won't be that easy," Ding Yi lightly said. Just as he finished speaking, Martial's body flashed and blocked Feng Xinyang's escape route. Being attacked from the front and back and her husband being heavily injured, Feng Xinyang had no way of escaping. "Actually, I am very curious as to where you secretly took your daughter. But don't worry, we will investigate clearly. If you are related to the enemies of the martial organization, then even if Yi Xuanji appears, he will not be able to protect you." "I don't even know what you are talking about. What enemies of the martial organization? We don't even know." Feng Xinyang gnashed her teeth and said, "Don't worry, we will investigate clearly." After Ding Yi finished speaking, he floated over and pressed his palm forward. Feng Xinyang raised her hand to block but was still restrained by that pair of soft hands. The Ye family couple was captured alive and fell into the hands of the martial organization. "Martial, you go chase after that little girl," Ding Yi said. Martial wordlessly accepted the order and left. Yi Dingdang madly ran while dialing Tang Zheng's number. "Hey, where are you?" "I just got home, what's wrong?" Tang Zheng curiously asked. Yi Dingdang's breathing was very heavy, which made him feel a little strange. "Okay, wait for me, we must leave immediately." Yi Dingdang did not foolishly go back to save her parents. She never did things sloppily. This point was very similar to Feng Xinyang. Since Feng Xinyang told her to run, then she would not turn back because she had absolute trust in Feng Xinyang. What happened? Tang Zheng had never seen Yi Dingdang so panicked before and could not help but be shocked. "I can't explain in a few sentences, wait for me." Tang Zheng listened to the beeping sound and was at a loss as to what to do. Just what had happened? Hearing her tone, it seemed like there was a great danger. He could not guess clearly, so he greeted his grandfather and then went downstairs. After a while, he saw Yi Dingdang madly running over, sweating profusely and in a slightly sorry state. "What happened?" Tang Zheng asked. Yi Dingdang took a deep breath as her chest heaved up and down. Her jet black hair and sweat stood on her forehead. She lacked her usual valiant appearance and had a trace of feminine beauty. But her expression was not gentle at all, instead it was a mixture of nervousness and worry. "Two experts came to my house. My father and Feng Xinyang are dealing with them. Feng Xinyang told me to find you and then hide." Yi Dingdang explained the situation in a few words. Tang Zheng's expression suddenly changed. "Even the two of them can't deal with them and then they told you to escape?" These two were first-grade innate stage experts. An enemy that they could not deal with, how strong must they be? He was completely unaware that the Ye family suffered an unexpected calamity because of him. "How did your family have such a powerful enemy?" "How would I know?" Yi Dingdang unhappily said. "When I returned home, I saw the situation with swords drawn and bows bent. Then Feng Xinyang told me to find you and escape together." "Then you don't know what's the situation with your family?" "I ran all the way, how would I know?" Tang Jing nodded. "Then come with me." Since such a powerful expert appeared in ordinary balance, Tang Jing naturally had to make preparations. If Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang could deal with the enemy, then everything would be easily solved. If they could not, then Tang Zheng's days would not be easy. Of course, since Feng Xinyang told Yi Dingdang to find him, he could not refuse Yi Dingdang, so the two took a taxi and rushed to a remote house in the north of the city. Huang Xiang was placed here. Since the enemy was so powerful, then he needed Huang Xiang's help even more. When Yi Dingdang saw Huang Xiang, she almost screamed, "Why is he here?" She still remembered the time when Huang Xiang and Tang Zheng were like fire and water. "Don't be afraid, he is one of my people," Tang Zheng comforted. Yi Dingdang was bewildered as she deeply looked at Huang Xiang, only to see him sitting there without saying a word. Even his eyes were tightly shut. The two people entering did not cause him to have the slightest reaction. Tang Zheng knew that Huang Xiang was cultivating, so he did not disturb him. He said in a low voice, "This place is absolutely safe. It is very difficult for ordinary people to find it." "That's good. What's going on with him?" Yi Dingdang pointed at Huang Xiang and asked. "Don't worry about him. First, find out what happened to your family." "How would I know? I have never seen those two people, but they are definitely not weaker than my parents," Yi Dingdang said worriedly. Tang Zheng's eyebrows trembled. "That's strange. How could such powerful experts appear in ordinary balance?" "I'm also very strange. Also, there was such a big commotion in ordinary balance last night. It seems that some people said that it was caused by a fight between experts," Yi Dingdang said suspiciously. Tang Zheng smiled embarrassedly and did not mention last night's matter. He continued to say, "Right now, our top priority is to find out what happened to your family." Yi Dingdang nodded. "Right, we have to find out. During this time, my father dismissed all of his subordinates. Otherwise, we would have been able to delay this group of people. These past few years, the Ye family had been in business for a long time. Although they did not involve themselves in matters of the underworld, they still had their own power. However, because Yi Tianlei wanted to return to Beijing, this group of people had been dismissed. This was also the reason why there was such a big commotion in the Ye family's manor, but not a single helper. I will send someone to investigate the area around your family," Tang Jing said as he dialed Lin Hu's number. He told him to send some smart people to the Ye family's area, but be careful not to be discovered. Hearing him make the call, Yi Dingdang suspiciously said, "It seems like your relationship with the underworld and ordinary balance is getting better and better. Especially this Lin Hu. I heard that Huang Si died and his territory was taken over by Lin Hu." As she said this, she curiously turned her head to look at Huang Xiang. However, she saw that his eyes were closed. He did not have the slightest reaction when Huang Si was mentioned. This made her very surprised. Tang Jing smiled and did not answer this question. For a moment, the atmosphere in the room was a bit awkward. Tang Jing hesitated for a moment before breaking the silence and asking, "Is it your family's enemy who came this time?" "Definitely not. My family doesn't have any enemies." "That's not necessarily true. Last time on Ordinary Balance Mountain, didn't someone try to assassinate you?" Tang Jing disagreed. After that assassination attempt, Yi Dingdang did not encounter any more danger and Yi Tianlei's investigation also did not have any clues. Originally, he thought that there would be people who would harm Yi Dingdang. Feng Xinyang even asked Tang Zheng to protect Yi Dingdang at school. However, nothing happened in the end. So much time had passed that he almost forgot about it. When Yi Dingdang was reminded of that assassination attempt, she still felt a lingering fear. If it wasn't for Tang Zheng, she would have already become a wandering ghost on Ordinary Balance Mountain. She deeply looked at Tang Zheng and could not help but think that the two times she met with danger, it was Tang Zheng who asked for help. It was as if he was her savior. "Heng who wants him to save me. My cultivation will soon break through to the 6th grade refining body. At that time I will be able to surpass him," she thought unhappily. Suddenly her phone rang. It was Lin Hu calling. Chapter 169. Young Master Tang, something big has happened. The Ye family seems to have been attacked by someone. It is said that the Ye family has been taken away. Lin Hu said in a panic. He had been in the Ordinary Balance for many years, so of course he knew that the Ye family was not someone he could provoke. They were true martial experts, but this time they were actually taken away. It was truly inconceivable. Tang Jing's head sank as he asked, "Do you know where those people are?" "I don't know. Young Master Tang, they are definitely foreign dragons. What should we do?" Tang Jing muttered, "You do your own thing. Also, look for clues about the Ye family. If you have any clues, then tell me." "I understand. Young Master Tang, pay attention to your safety." Yi Dingdang saw him hang up and quickly asked, "How is my family?" Tang Jing frowned and shook his head. Your parents were taken away, but I don't know where they are. Yi Dingdong's face suddenly changed. She originally thought that with her parents' cultivation, even if they were not a match, they would still have a chance to escape. She did not expect that they would be taken away. Then what should we do? She was at a loss. We have to think of a way to save them. Tang Jing thought about how good this couple was to him and made a decision. Yi Dingdang looked at him gratefully and said, Thank you, Tang Jing. Originally, Tang Jing did not need to be involved in this mess, but he resolutely chose to save them. Yi Dingdang was incomparably moved. The most important thing is to find out where these people came from. Why do they want to deal with your family? Tang Jing thought for a moment and said, In Yi Dingdang, anyone who dared not cooperate with them could be captured. This kind of arrogance showed a huge amount of confidence. Shameless thug. My family did not cooperate with you, so you took them away. How can there be such logic in this world? Yi Dingdang was flustered and exasperated. Martial was unmoved and coldly said, I have such logic here. You. Yi Dingdang was so angry that she was speechless. Tang Jing stared at the other party with a burning gaze, as if he wanted to study her thoroughly. This person was undoubtedly a person with exceptionally strong martial strength and mentality. Even though Tang Jing was very courageous facing her, he couldn't help but feel a little scared. However, now was not the time to be fearful. For such a dragon to appear in ordinary balance, he had to find out the opponent's background. If not, the territory that he had just snatched from Huangxi would be in danger. Therefore he did not fly into a rage. Instead he calmly asked, Who are you? Martial was also looking at him. This was the only person she could not see through. She was faintly excited, as if she was about to find her target. However, the other party seemed to be too young and didn't show much of an imposing aura, so she was a little puzzled and didn't rush to make a move. She opened her mouth slightly and softly spat out a word, Martial. Martial arts? Tang Jing and Yi Dingdang were both very surprised. That is my name. I come from the martial organization. Have you heard of it before? Martial purposely said the two words martial organization very clearly. At the same time, she stared unblinkingly at Tang Jing, hoping to see some clues from his reaction. However, she was disappointed. Other than being puzzled, Tang Jing did not have any other reaction. Could it be that he isn't a cultivator? Hearing the two words martial organization, he didn't have any reaction? Of course, Tang Jing did not have any reaction. He had never heard of this organization before. Taoist Tianji had gone through untold hardships to find out that there was an organization that targeted cultivators. However, even he did not know the name of the organization. Tang Jing naturally would not link the martial organization to the organization that he was afraid of. What kind of organization is the martial organization? Yi Dingdang curiously asked. Martial did not look at her. She continued to stare unblinkingly at Tang Jing and said, An organization that specializes in killing cultivators. The two words cultivator, to ordinary people, was an unfamiliar word. Even a martial artist like Yi Dingdang had never heard of it. Therefore she was confused. Other than being surprised, she did not have any other reaction. However, when Tang Jing heard these words, his heart jumped. Martial organization. So the organization that targeted cultivators was the martial organization. I actually met them. His eyes could not help but fluctuate a little. Just this fluctuation was enough because Martial could clearly see this fluctuation. Her eyes could not help but light up. Her eyes also became incomparably cold and filled with killing intent. She pointed at Tang Jing and said, You are a cultivator. Yi Dingdang turned her head to look at Tang Jing. She was baffled. Tang Jing almost jumped up. This woman was too cunning. She actually saw through his identity. This was the first time that his identity as a cultivator had been seen through by someone other than a cultivator. Wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search only to find it by chance. Ordinary Balance, this small place actually has a cultivator. Heng, this trip to Ordinary Balance is truly fruitful. Martial said to herself excitedly. Since he had been seen through, Tang Jing did not need to hide anymore. He went straight to the point and asked, Then what do you want? Of course I want to capture you. Then I will find more of your kind and kill all of you. Martial's killing intent soared. It caused the surrounding yin qi to violently fluctuate, causing people's hearts to tremble. Chapter 170. Tang Jing's face turned ashen. This martial organization was truly vicious. Not only did she want to kill him, she also wanted to catch all the cultivators in one fell swoop. Carrot, // Tianchanzi angrily roared, Brat, you must get rid of her. You must also get rid of that martial organization. I'm so angry. I cannot complete this task alone, so I will need you to put in a lot of effort. Tang Jing said. No problem. Once this matter is over, we will immediately go find a carrier. I must recover my strength and let this martial organization see the true strength of a cultivator. This time Tian Chanzi unexpectedly did not refuse. It seemed that the martial organization matter had angered him quite a bit. Yi Dingdang looked at Martial and then looked at Yi Dingdang. It was as if she did not recognize him. He was actually a cultivator. What was a cultivator? What is a cultivator? She asked blankly. Martial rushed to say, You don't even know what a cultivator is, yet you still dare to be with him. You are a martial artist, so you should not be with a cultivator. Cultivators are the enemy of martial artists. We should exterminate all cultivators. Is that serious? Yi Dingdang was dumbstruck. Martial seriously said, It's much more serious than that. Cultivators are the outliers of this world. They are the biggest enemy of us martial artists. Nonsense. What did cultivators do to you that you have to exterminate them? Tang Zheng flew into a rage. Everyone is cultivating to increase their strength. Why do you have to categorize us cultivators as outliers? Heng, this is a rule passed down from generation to generation. Naturally, there is a reason for it. It is not up to you to point fingers. Martial disdainfully said, If you cooperate and give up your own kind, I will let you die a little easier. Otherwise, I will make you wish you were dead. If you want to kill me, then come. Tang Jing said fearlessly. Yi Dingdang was not clear on what a cultivator was, but she knew that she and Tang Jing were together, and that the high and mighty woman in front of them was their enemy, so she did not hesitate to stand by Tang Jing's side and firmly said, If you want to kill us, then come. Don't think that we are afraid of you. Interesting. First, let me guess your cultivation level. 2nd grade or 3rd grade Qi refining? At your age, reaching the 4th grade of refining Qi is already very rare and commendable. After all, the spirit Qi of heaven and earth is so thin, it is impossible for you to cultivate that quickly. Martial was not in a hurry to make a move. Before killing a cultivator, she liked to see the fear on their faces the most. This made her feel even better than killing them. Sorry to disappoint you, but I am already at the 6th grade refining Qi. Tang Jing coldly said. 6th grade refining Qi. Martial raised her eyebrows and became serious. You are so young, yet you are already at the 6th grade refining Qi. How is that possible? Heng, this only shows that you are inexperienced. Tang Jing disdainfully said. His opponent's high and mighty attitude made him feel very uncomfortable. Very good, it's been a long time since I met such an interesting prey. Your cultivation level is so high, which means that your kind is even more extraordinary. This time it seems that we have caught a big fish. If it weren't for you guys causing such a big commotion in ordinary balance, we wouldn't have found this place. Hey, you are courting death. Martial's eyes became brighter and brighter as if she was a hunter who had found her prey. If you want to kill me, then let's see if you have the ability. Tang Jing calmly said. You are too weak. There is nothing to worry about. Martial directly walked towards Tang Jing, determined to win. I will fight you to the death. Yi Dingdang tenderly shouted and immediately rushed forward. However, she was fiercely held back by Tang Jing as he quietly watched the opponent approach. What are you doing? Don't tell me you want to surrender? At most we will fight it out with her. We can't let her have an easy time. Yi Dingdang heroically said. Tang Jing did not pay him any attention as he silently circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll. His true Qi quickly entered the command medallion and a black light flashed as Tang Jing quickly threw the command medallion out. Martial, however, was not afraid at all. She stretched out her hand and grabbed the token. She jokingly said, Is this the power of your treasure? Tang Jing sneered in ridicule. Martial's heart suddenly jumped as if she had a bad premonition. Suddenly, the ghost messenger token's black light expanded and completely enveloped her hand. She felt a cold and gloomy aura rush towards her. Whoosh! A cold wind blew in all directions. The ghost door appeared out of thin air and appeared in front of Martial. She was shocked. It was obvious that she had never seen such a situation before. However, she did not throw away the token, nor did she retreat. Instead, she stared at the ghost door that appeared out of thin air. A cold wind angrily howled as it swept out from the ghost door. In an instant, the surrounding yin qi increased greatly. So, a sound suddenly rang out as a large blade appeared from the ghost door. It directly chopped towards her head. This time, she finally retreated and dodged the blade. The ghost messenger token fell to the ground. A tall figure rushed out from the ghost door. In his hand was a blade. On the blade's hilt was a ghost head with a green face and fangs. It was extremely terrifying. Ghost General. Little brat, your luck is really good. You actually summoned a ghost general. Xianxia suddenly shouted in surprise. What is a ghost general? Is it stronger than a ghost messenger? Tang Jing curiously asked. Of course it is stronger than a ghost messenger. A ghost messenger is the weakest in the ghost realm. Above them is a ghost soldier. Above the ghost soldier is a ghost general. It is 2 levels higher than a ghost messenger. What do you think? This little girl is a first-grade innate stage cultivator. This ghost general does not lose to her. Moreover, the ghost general's ghost head blade is a profound level treasure. It is not like a ghost messenger that is condensed from yin qi. Xianxia said without stopping. Tang Jing was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. He asked, how did this ghost messenger token summon a ghost general? Hey, last time the ghost realm lost 2 ghost messengers. This is a very rare occurrence. Just now when you activated the ghost messenger token, the ghost realm naturally sensed it. Of course they would not send ghost messengers to their deaths. This ghost general clearly came to investigate the death of the ghost messengers. This little girl bumped into the blade's edge and coincidentally blocked the blade for you. Xianxia gloated. Look at the idea I gave you this time. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Xianxia said proudly. Tang Jing could not help but admit that Xianxia really did a good deed this time. Just as he was about to praise him, he discovered that Yi Dingdang was trembling. Her teeth were chattering and her expression was uglier than if she were crying. She pointed at the ghost general and asked, what is that? Ghost general. Tang Jing said. Ghost general, is it a ghost? Her face had already become deathly pale and her lips had turned green. Of course it's a ghost. Tang Jing said. Yi Dingdang rolled her eyes and screamed, ghost? She actually jumped up and jumped onto Tang Jing's body. She tightly hooked onto his neck and her graceful body pressed down on his body. She was trembling like a sieve. Tang Jing was shocked. Was there a need to have such a big reaction? Hey, that's because your nerves are thick. That's why you're not afraid of ghosts. Normal people are naturally afraid of ghosts. Xianxia explained. Tang Jing suddenly realized that his nerves were really thick. When he was looking for a carrier in the morgue, he was a little scared at first. But after seeing more, he did not feel anything. Especially when he saw the evil spirits and ghost messengers, he was not afraid at all. Instead, he rushed up and dealt with them. This was not something a normal person would do. Ghost, how could there be a ghost? Yi Dingdang was about to cry. Just a moment ago when she was facing Martial, she was still heroic. But now when she spoke, she was sobbing. Tang Jing glanced at the ghost general. He was clearly more pleasing to the eye than Martial. What was there to be afraid of? Tang Jing patted her shoulder and comforted her. Don't be afraid. This ghost general is helping us. Didn't you see him fighting with that bad woman? He's a ghost. Why would he help us? Hey, I'll explain it to you later. Tang Jing smiled and said, quickly come down. If you continue to strangle my neck, I will also become a ghost. Yi Dingdang heard the word ghost and screamed. She jumped down from his body and fiercely hit him. She weakly said, don't scare me. Tang Jing shrugged and said, okay, I won't scare you. But there's really nothing to be afraid of. Yi Dingdang gathered her courage and looked at the ghost general. She curiously asked, could it be that this is the power of a cultivator? They can actually make a ghost help them fight. Tang Jing chuckled. He did not comment. He did not have the strength to do so. It was just a coincidence. He also looked at Martial with schadenfreude. He coldly laughed, want to kill me? Then I'll let you drink a pot first. It was not that Martial had never come into contact with cultivators. She had even killed one before. However, she had never come into contact with ghosts. Looking at the ghost general, her face was no longer calm. Instead, it became unprecedentedly dignified. The ghost envoy token is in your hands. You dare to kill my ghost envoys? Today I will scatter your 3 souls and 7 spirits. I will make you disappear from this world forever. The ghost general roared. His voice was like a large bell. It shook people's eardrums. Wherever his feet passed, the weeds would wither. This yin qi was the aura of death. Its power was peerless. Martial looked at the nearby Tang Jing who was rejoicing in her misfortune. She coldly said, then let's see if you die or I die. All cultivators will die in my hands. It was clear that she had placed the ghost general in the ranks of her enemy cultivators. The ghost head blade flickered with a black light. It chopped down in the air. The malevolent ghost head on the hilt lit up with a black light. Then a ghost head flew out from the blade. It opened its bloody mouth and bit towards Martial's neck. Roaring flame blade. Martial shouted. Her hand chopped forward. The xianxia was torn apart. It formed a circle of ripples. Her hand chopped down on the ghost head. With a scream, the ghost head exploded. The roaring flame blade was a yang martial art. It had a natural restraining effect on xianxia. Therefore, the ghost head did not gain any advantage. But of course, the ghost general's strength was not limited to this. The moment the ghost head exploded, he suddenly attacked. The cold glint of his blade chopped down. A cold wind blew. A burst of cold air rushed from the soles of Martial's feet to the space between her eyebrows. For a moment she was almost frozen solid. Her expression changed. She quickly retreated. Only then did she avoid this fatal strike. The ghost head blade chopped down on the ground. A gully extended to the soles of her feet. She tiptoed and quickly retreated. The ghost general did not let her go. Like a shadow, he chased after her. Chapter 171. Seeing both sides chasing one another, Tang Zheng and the other two quickly chased after them. Tang Zheng picked up the ghost messenger command plate and put it back into his pocket. Book friends group, this was a good treasure, he could not lose it. He saw that both sides had already reached the edge of the unmarked common graves. The ghost general was becoming more and more courageous, and although Martial was slightly at a disadvantage, she was not completely defeated. Tang Zheng could not help but feel bored as his heart moved. If I go up and help the ghost general, then wouldn't this woman be finished? Just as he had this thought, Xianxia hurriedly stopped him. Little brat, do you want to die? Let me tell you, while they are fighting fiercely, you should hurry and run. Otherwise, no matter who wins, you won't have a good time. Tang Zheng was shocked. That's right, the ghost general was helping him, but that did not mean that the ghost general was his friend. The ghost general was here to investigate the death of the messengers, so wasn't the messengers killed by him? This won't do. Hurry and run. What a pity. I don't know who will win and who will lose. It would be best if both sides are injured and die together. Tang Zheng cursed. This battle will definitely have a winner and loser. It cannot be reconciled. Otherwise, the ghost general will not be able to report back. So you can relax. Now you should hurry and find a place to hide. Xianxia warned. Tang Zheng understood and hurriedly said, Ding ding, let's go. One less than or equal. Right, let's go. What's the point of watching a ghost fight with a human? Let's go. Yi Ding Dang was eager to leave as soon as possible. She was still very afraid of the ghost general. The three people took advantage of the night and quickly ran out of the unmarked common graves. Martial looked on helplessly and could not help but fly into a rage. Kill! The roaring flame blade and the ghost head blade collided. Fortunately, she slapped the back of the blade, otherwise her hand would have been cut off. The ghost general's strength was clearly a notch higher. The ghost head blade danced in the air and the ferocious ghost head danced in the air, circling around her like a tiger eyeing its prey. This ghost general is too powerful. If we continue to fight, I might not be able to gain any benefits. This brat actually has such a powerful helper. I really didn't expect that. Martial already had thoughts of retreating. Although he was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. She used a hand blade to force the ghost general back and quickly retreated. However, how could the ghost general let her go? With a roar, 8 more ghost heads flew out from the ghost head blade. 9 ghost heads circled above her head, and a dense xianxia spread out. In an instant, she felt as if she was in the ghost world. All around her were the cries of ghosts and howls of wolves, disturbing her mind. To go against my ghost realm, only death awaits you. The ghost general shouted as the ghost head blade descended from the sky and chopped down. Martial hastily blocked. However, it was precisely at this moment that she revealed a flaw. The 9 great ghost heads took advantage of this and closed in on her, biting her body. These ghost heads were not ordinary monsters. They actually directly penetrated her body and drilled in. She screamed as she blocked the ghost general's attack and fled in panic. The ghost general did not chase after her. Looking at the direction she fled, he gave a strange laugh. Ghost heads enter the body, death is certain. Then he went back to look for the ghost messenger token. However, he found that the token had disappeared without a trace. He suddenly remembered that there were still 3 people present. They must have taken it away. Without the ghost messenger token, how can he report back? No, he must find the ghost messenger token. He looked around and finally chose a direction and fiercely chased after her. Martial used the fastest speed in her life to return to Dingyi. Her face was already covered in black qi. The black chi grew more and more as if it wanted to completely occupy her body. Seeing her like this, Ding Yi turned pale with fright. What's wrong? Didn't you go to chase after that little girl? Martial shook her head and wanted to speak but found that she couldn't breathe. She felt dizzy and directly fell to the ground. The black chi instantly covered her wheat-colored cheeks. It was extremely terrifying. What happened? Ding Yi was shocked. He had never seen such a situation before. He hurriedly checked her body, only to find that her entire body was ice cold as if she was an ice cube. Moreover, there was a strange energy rampaging through her body, devouring her bodily functions. Men, quickly send her back to the sect. Otherwise there will be no saving her. Ding Yi made a prompt decision and immediately called for his subordinates to send Martial away. There was no smile on Ding Yi's face as his expression became unprecedentedly solemn. He had not obtained any useful information from Martial mouth, but it was clear that she had been injured while chasing after that little girl. The most important thing was to find that little girl, only then would they be able to understand what had happened. There really is a cultivator hiding in ordinary balance. Otherwise, how could Martial be injured like this? He thought as he wrinkled his eyebrows. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xingyang are stubborn. To make them speak is as difficult as climbing a mountain. Right now we can only find Yi Dingdang. But ordinary balance is not big or small. It is like looking for a needle in a haystack. What should we do? The local tyrant. Suddenly he had an idea. After Tang Zheng and the other two left the ancient common graves, they found that they had no place to go. He could not go home, otherwise it would be bad if he implicated his grandfather. Could it be that he had to find Yi Tianlei and Feng Xingyang's whereabouts? He already understood that Yi Tianlei and Feng Xingyang were implicated by him. These people from the martial organization were clearly here because of the commotion yesterday. They were here for him, but Yi Tianlei and Feng Xingyang did not betray him, so they were captured. Thus, he had the duty and responsibility to rescue them. He absolutely could not let anything happen to them. Otherwise, Yi Dingdang would hate him to death and he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. The fear in Yi Dingdang's heart slowly disappeared. Her eyes regained their spirit and brightened as she looked at Tang Zheng. Even under the moonlight, it was difficult to conceal her curiosity and shock. Tang Zheng, so the martial organization was targeting you, right? And last night's incident with ordinary balance was also caused by you? Yi Dingdang asked with mixed feelings. This desk mate of hers was already considered a very familiar person. Yet he was still hiding such a big secret. If it was anyone else, they would also feel very complicated. Tang Zheng scratched his head and embarrassedly said, I also did not think that it would attract the attention of the martial organization. I did not even know about this organization before. This time your family suffered an unexpected calamity. I'm really sorry. Yi Dingdang snorted and said, You really hid it from us. You are actually a cultivator. That's right, what is a cultivator? It is not a thing. Ah. Pei, that's not what I meant. What I meant was that cultivators are the same as martial artists. The only difference is that they practice different cultivation methods. Martial artists focus on the interior of the body, using martial arts to cultivate inner strength, thus increasing their own strength, while cultivators absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and transform it into their own true chi, which is similar to martial artists. It is not like what martial artists say water and fire are incompatible, so we must destroy the other side. Tang Zheng explained clearly. Yi Dingdang suddenly came to a realization, so it's like this. I also feel that that woman and even that martial organization is making a mountain out of a molehill. This society is all-inclusive, how can they only allow one group to exist and exterminate the other? Tang Zheng quickly gave a thumbs up and praised, very good insight. I also think so. But these people are really annoying. Although we have temporarily gotten rid of them, it does not mean that there will be no trouble in the future. Tang Zheng felt very helpless. Wasn't he just practicing a cultivation method? He did not provoke anyone. Why did they have to exterminate him? First we have to save my family. Yi Dingdang said impatiently. Tang Zheng nodded solemnly, of course. Even if I have to risk my life, I will save Uncle Yi and Aunt Feng. But saving people requires strategy. My people will first find out where they are and then we will slowly plan. What do you think? Yi Dingdang did not have a better idea. This was the only way. But the most important thing right now was not to find the other party's traces, but to increase their strength. Otherwise, even if they found the place, the three of them would only be sending themselves to death. No one would be able to save them. Tian Chanzi, it seems that we have to first find a carrier for you. Tang Zheng said helplessly. Okay, then help me find a carrier. Xianxia also agreed. But where to find it? Go to the morgue again? Tang Jing shook his head. That was definitely not possible. Oh. A cold wind blew from the distance. Yi Dingdang shivered and subconsciously hugged her arms. So cold. Cold. Tang Jing's head suddenly tightened. This was not because the weather was cold but because a cold wind blew. He immediately turned around and saw a figure quickly approaching under the night sky. Damn it, the ghost general has caught up. Damn it, how did he catch up so quickly? Tang Jing was annoyed. Xianxia was also very surprised. It seems that the death of the ghost messengers has caused a big disturbance in the ghost realm, so it has attracted a lot of attention. Otherwise they would not have sent a ghost general. In order to go back and report, he must take back the ghost messenger's token and eliminate all related people. This is the usual style of the ghost realm. Anyone who dares to go against the ghost realm, they will not easily let go. Then what should I do? Tang Jing could only bitterly smile. He had inadvertently killed 2 ghost messengers and then summoned a ghost general. Although he had solved the problem of that powerful woman, he had also brought trouble to himself and brought an even more powerful enemy in front of him. It was really one wave after another. Tang Jing really wanted to ask the heavens, why am I so unlucky? What should we do? Run. The ghost general is not like that woman who just caught you, he will directly kill you. Xianxia was not an alarmist. Even if they were separated by hundreds of meters, Tang Jing could already feel the other party's biting cold murderous intent. Quickly run. Tang Jing whispered but found that Yi Dingdang was indifferent. She stared at the ghost general, unable to hide her fear. Don't be afraid, if you continue to be afraid then you'll really die. Hurry up and run. Tang Jing grabbed her hand and staggered forward. Huang Xiang followed behind the two to block any possible attacks, but his feet did not stop. The ghost general was getting closer and closer. His skill was far superior to the 3 people, so his speed naturally could not be compared. Stop, you dare to steal the ghost messenger's token, you must die. The ghost general's roar came from afar, which stimulated the 3 people to run faster. After all, no one wanted to die. But the ghost general's speed was also faster. In the blink of an eye he was already behind the 3 people. The ghost head blade directly slashed at the 3 people. Chapter 172. Huang Xiang was the last to fall as he turned around and sent a palm strike towards the ghost head blade. Huang Xiang was sent flying over the top of the 2 people's heads. Tang Jing felt the yin qi behind him pressing down and did not dare to run anymore. With a backhand slash, battle soul slashed out. Clang. Sword and blade clashed as a crisp sound spread out in all directions. The ghost general was astonished. You're actually a cultivator, how rare. Tang Jing and Yi Dingdang turned around and looked at the dense yin qi ghost general. Yi Dingdang's small face was a bit pale but she still supported her body and did not fall. Tang Jing stared at the ghost general with a heavy face and asked, if I return the ghost general's command medallion to you, will you let us go? The ghost general flatly refused. Of course not, killing ghost messengers and stealing their command medallion is a capital offense. Since it's like this, then there's nothing more to say. Tang Jing held his sword horizontally in front of his chest and whispered to Yi Dingdang, I'll hold him back, you quickly run. Not far ahead is the ordinary balance mountain. If you run up the mountain he won't be able to catch up to you so easily. The ordinary balance mountain was already in sight. Under the night sky, they could faintly see the huge silhouette of a crouching beast. Yi Dingdang shook her head. No, you're not his opponent. If I run, what will you do? Pont. I have my own way, you don't have to worry. Tang Jing waved his hand. Quickly run, otherwise it'll be too late. Seeing Tang Jing's serious and anxious appearance, Yi Dingdang's heart was filled with an unprecedented warmth. She blurted out, I won't go, I'll fight side by side with you. If it's a ghost then so be it, I'll get used to it and I won't be afraid. Her face was resolute as she bit her lips, clearly resisting the fear in her heart. Why are you so stubborn? Tang Jing was helpless. Yi Dingdang curled her lips. I'm stubborn, so what? My legs are mine. If I don't want to leave, no one can chase me away. Yi Dingdang understood that if she left, Tang Jing would definitely die. Although she might not be of much help if she stayed, she still could not bear to let Tang Jing face such a great danger alone. Then listen to me. We'll fight while we run. Whether we can escape in the end will depend on our luck. This time Tang Jing wasn't absolutely sure. Even Xianxia was silent. The danger this time was greater than any of the previous times. Are you done blabbering on and on? It's time for you to be on your way. The ghost general roared and charged forward. Tang Jing quickly raised War Soul to meet the enemy. Bang! With just one strike, Tang Jing was sent flying. The ghost general's strength was much higher than his. Tang Jing. Yi Dingdang turned pale with fright. Taking a deep breath, she finally mustered up the courage to charge at the ghost general. She did not inherit her parents' overly strong martial arts. Right now, she was using the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. The Jade Women's Heart Sutra was not only a cultivation method, but also a corresponding move. A pair of slender jade hands struck out. A biting cold chi spread out from the palm of her hand. Unable to withstand a single blow, the ghost general coldly shouted. The ghost general's head blade fiercely chopped down. It directly scattered the biting cold chi, causing her attack to immediately collapse. Yi Dingdang staggered back and sat on the ground. She stared blankly as the ghost general's head blade fell from the sky and directly chopped at her neck. She really wanted to scream, but it was too late. Huang Xiang, save her! Tang Jing roared. Huang Xiang rushed forward like a cannonball. He actually used his body to block in front of Yi Dingdang. He only left Yi Dingdang with his back and the ghost general's head blade that was chopping at his shoulder. Quickly retreat! Tang Jing loudly shouted. Yi Dingdang finally woke up from her dream. She finally crawled up and quickly retreated. Then she saw Tang Jing rush past her and charge at the ghost general. He knew that he was not a match for the ghost general, but he still wanted to fight because if he did not fight he would die. The ghost general's head blade chopped at Huang Xiang's body, causing blood to flow. Suddenly, his body flashed with a black light. The black light completely wrapped around his body. The ghost general's head blade was unable to cut through. The ghost general was startled and said, "What is going on?" Tang Jing did not care about his surprise. The ghost general glanced at him. A ghost head flew out of the ghost general's head blade and bit at his neck. So, true fire spread out from the ghost general's head blade. It was as if the air was ignited by the true fire. It directly chopped at the ghost head. The ghost head let out a blood-curdling scream. It was enveloped by the true fire and instantly turned into ashes. "True fire, how did you do it?" The ghost general shouted in disbelief. He quickly withdrew his ghost general's head blade. Huang Xiang broke free and pressed on his own shoulder. The blood actually stopped flowing little by little. Then, a very strange black color appeared on his face. His entire eye sockets were pitch black, as deep as the night sky. "What is this thing? Strange, why did I encounter so many strange things today?" The ghost general finally knew that the person in front of him was not a simple person. The opponent's body was like steel. When he chopped down just now, although it cut through the opponent's flesh, it was difficult to cut through the opponent's bones. The bones were even more powerful than his ghost general's head blade. Now that he saw the might of the true fire, he did not dare to underestimate it. It was simply beyond his scope of understanding. Of course, he recognized the true fire. But he also knew that the true fire was only used to refine pills. Could not be used to attack. But the person in front of him was able to do it. Although the opponent's cultivation was not much, this strange thing made him not dare to underestimate it. "In the end, who are you?" The ghost general pointed at Tang Jing and asked. Tang Jing coldly snorted and did not answer. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Huang Xiang. Glancing at Huang Xiang, he saw that he was completely fine and relaxed. "Brat, fortunately my puppet strength has improved a lot these past few days. It has already reached the 2nd grade natal stage. Its bones have already been forged into steel, so it was able to withstand the opponent's attack." Tian Chanzi rejoiced and said, "In the future, when my puppet's cultivation reaches the pinnacle, from the inside to the outside, from the bones to the muscles, it will reach the realm of invulnerability. Even magic weapons will find it difficult to injure it. But right now it is still too weak. It can only withstand the ghost general's attack. But as long as the opponent attacks a few more times, it will be chopped into pieces." Tang Jing did not have the heart to sigh at the magical puppet technique. He only looked at the ghost general and said, "If you want to fight, then fight. Why so much nonsense?" The ghost general flew into a rage, acting recklessly. "You think you can stop me with just this? Kill." In a flash, 9 ghost heads flew out from the ghost head blade and directly covered Tang Jing's body, causing a cold wind to howl around him. Tang Jing wanted to use his true fire to attack the ghost heads, but he suddenly felt a power stirring within the battle spirit. Battle spirit. This power was very familiar. It was the power of the battle spirit. With a thought, he suppressed the true fire, only to see the war soul sword humming and trembling. The black light expanded, and a huge monster flew out from the war soul sword, flying straight towards the 9 ghost heads above his head. So. This huge monster was of course the battle spirit. It moved like lightning and directly grabbed the 9 ghost heads and stuffed them into its mouth. With a kacha-kacha sound, it chewed and swallowed them into its stomach. Seeing this scene, the ghost general was inexplicably shocked. You actually raised an evil spirit. This was too unimaginable. This cultivator was too strange. How could his subordinates be filled with such strange things? During this period of time, the evil spirit had been nourished by the battle spirit. Its strength had greatly increased. In its hand there was a large blade condensed from yin qi. The battle spirit roared towards the sky and charged towards the ghost general. Tang Zheng was also shocked to see this scene. Originally, he had absorbed the battle spirit into the black sword on a whim. He did not expect that there would be such an opportunity today. Brat, your luck is really good. The ghost general's strong yin qi caused the battle spirit to react. That's why I jumped out. Xianxia sighed. Tang Zheng was incomparably delighted. This time he had a huge helping hand, and the outcome of this battle would be uncertain. Yi Dingdang was indescribably frightened as she saw the huge monster fly out from Tang Zheng's sword. Her eyes rolled back and she was about to faint. Tang Zheng's eyes were sharp and his hands were fast. He quickly supported her and ruthlessly pinched her philtrum. Only then did she wake up. She trembled as she said, Is it a ghost? Even though her nerves had gradually become bigger, this scene still scared her to death. Especially when the battle spirit was like a small mountain. It was even more oppressive. Tang Zheng nodded his head and said, Don't be afraid. It's with us. Yi Dingdang said with a bitter face, Where did you find these ghost things? This was a coincidence. Do you normally carry them with you? That's right. Yi Dingdang's eyes rolled back and she almost fainted again. She gasped for breath and said, Then you sit by my side every day. That means I'm with these things every day? Tang Zheng awkwardly coughed. It was indeed so. Tang Zheng, I'm going to kill you. Yi Dingdang bit her lip. She was about to cry. Hey Yi Dingdang, aren't you very brave? Why are you so afraid of ghosts? Tang Zheng was baffled. Was this still the usual fearless Yi Dingdang? I'm not afraid of people. I'm afraid of ghosts. Don't you know? I don't even dare to watch horror movies. Tang Zheng's forehead was filled with black lines. He quickly comforted her. Don't be afraid. These are our helpers. Quickly stand still. I'm going to help. 3 against 1, we may not necessarily lose. Little brat, I advise you to quickly run. Although the puppet and battle spirit can restrain the ghost general, the two sides are not on the same level. As long as the battle drags on, they will definitely not be able to defeat the ghost general. At that time it will be too late for you to escape. Xianxia earnestly advised. Tang Zheng was startled. Originally his confidence was high, but now he was doused with cold water that chilled his heart. Looking at Huang Xiang and battle spirit who were fighting a bloody battle with the ghost general, the two of them did not feel anything. Therefore they did not care about anything. Their killing intent soared. Even if they were cut several times, they were still full of energy. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth. Should he leave or not? If I don't leave, they can give up their lives to protect me. If I leave, will I still be human? Even if I have to leave, I will take them with me. I will not leave battle spirit behind. Don't you also want to make your puppet into a reinforced steel body? If I leave, then wouldn't your wish be dashed? Therefore I will fight side by side with them. Tang Zheng was determined. Little brat, you are courting death. Xianxia cursed. Tang Zheng did not pay attention to Xianxia. Holding battle spirit, he rushed forward. Chapter 173. Heaven flying immortal, a sword pierced through the air, piercing through the gap between Huang Xiang and battle spirit. The group of ghost generals hurriedly used their ghost head blades to block. As the blades clashed, a burst of true fire instantly ignited the ghost head blades. However, the ghost general could not be compared to Daoist Tianji. With a shake of his arm, the ghost head blades fiercely rolled twice, extinguishing the true fire and then fiercely chopped towards Tang Zheng. Battle spirit raised his blade to meet the attack while Huang Xiang circled behind the ghost general. Attacking from the front and back, he was attacked from the front and back. The ghost general faced the sky and roared. With a loud roar, the ghost head blades danced. In an instant, the ghost head blades were everywhere. Ping ping ping. With 3 muffled sounds, Tang Zheng and the other 2 were simultaneously sent flying. Tang Zheng spat out a mouthful of blood as his true chi was in chaos. He hurriedly revolved the ancient clear heaven scroll, suppressing the agitated true qi. However, he saw the ghost general pouncing towards him. Battle Spirit and Huang Xiang had already disregarded their own safety and stood in front of him. The three sides fought fiercely, causing the atmosphere between heaven and earth to become chaotic. The dust on the ground flew up as if it had been attacked by a sandstorm. The yin qi condensed into a tornado that soared into the sky. Huang Xiang and the war spirit were simultaneously swept up. Roar roar. They angrily roared but were unable to resist this tornado. They were in the air and unable to land. Little brat, I already said that you are not his opponent. Quickly run. Tian Chanzi anxiously advised. Tang Zheng's gaze fell on the ghost general. The ghost general's face revealed a sinister smile. With a wave of his blade, the tornado brought Huang Xiang and Battle Spirit into the distance. Without help, what other methods do you have? The ghost general approached step by step, arrogantly asking. Tang Zheng's face was calm as he gripped Battle Spirit with both hands. He did not retreat. So, as the ghost head blade chopped down, Tang Zheng raised the battle soul with both of his hands. Dang, a muffled sound rang out, and Tang Zheng's body was involuntarily pressed into the ground. Another mouthful of blood violently spurted out, and the agitated true qi in his body once again became chaotic. You actually managed to block my blade. Then take another one. The ghost head blade once again chopped down, and Tang Zheng once again raised his sword, but the ghost head blade did not descend. Unknowingly, Yi Dingdang actually hugged the ghost general's body and loudly shouted, Tang Zheng, hurry and run. Tang Zheng was shocked. In order to save him, Yi Dingdang actually overcame her fear of the ghost general and hugged him. But in front of the ghost general, she was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. She shouted, don't. But it was too late. The ghost general's palm landed on her back. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, she weakly fell to the ground. Tang Zheng's eyes instantly turned crimson red, the innate qi went berserk and whizzed upwards. Boom. A loud sound came from within his body. His innate qi uncontrollably jumped to 7 inches. In that instant he broke through to the 7th grade refining qi. Last time when he took the spirit pill, if not for Taoist Tianji interrupting him, he would have already broken through to the 7th grade refining qi. The innate qi that he had accumulated over the past few days suddenly erupted, breaking through the bottleneck. A powerful aura burst out from his body and soared into the sky. His mind was enlightened, and he actually comprehended the 4 forms of the transcendent flying immortal. A total of 24 forms of the transcendent flying immortal were displayed. He was like an immortal descending from the heavens, the battle soul sword completely enveloping the ghost general. Dang dang dang. The ghost general used his blade to block. Sparks blossomed from the collision of the blade and sword. It was exceptionally dazzling, but it was filled with killing intent. The ghost general's shoulder was cut by the sword, and a large piece of flesh flew out. The ghost general was enraged. He was actually injured by the opponent. This was too inconceivable. The ghost general angrily roared, and the ghost head blade once again rolled up a tornado. Seeing that Tang Zheng was about to be swept up by the tornado, Tang Zheng hurriedly landed on the ground. He picked up Yi Dingdang and turned to run. This time he did not hesitate. Although he temporarily broke through and forcefully increased his strength to injure the ghost general, this was like igniting a barrel of gunpowder. The ghost general's anger had been completely ignited, and he would definitely kill him without any hesitation. He had to escape, and he also had to save Yi Dingdang. Yi Dingdang had already fainted. Her face was deathly pale, and he did not know how serious her injuries were. Tang Zheng temporarily did not care about her injuries, and could only madly run towards the ordinary balance mountain. Roar roar roar. The ghost general faced the sky and roared, his voice shaking the wilderness. I will scatter your soul, and not a single one of you will be able to escape. Dong dong dong. The ghost general took large strides to catch up, one in front of the other, leaving behind only an afterimage in the night. Suddenly 2 figures appeared in front of him, Huang Xiang and War Soul. They were taken away by the tornado and finally landed on the ground. Their injuries were not light, but they still rushed back to help Tang Zheng. Quickly run. Tang Zheng shouted. The 2 quickly turned around and followed behind Tang Zheng, escorting him to the ordinary balance mountain. In an instant, both sides arrived at the foot of the ordinary balance mountain. This was not the front of the ordinary balance mountain, but the back of the mountain. The back of the mountain was a steep cliff. Tang Zheng had picked the heaven-fragrant flower on this cliff, so he was very familiar with it. But the key point was that this cliff was like a knife and axe, and there was no way to escape. Tang Zheng was extremely anxious. In this dark night, in his panic, why did he not run to the front of the mountain, but instead came to the back of the mountain? This was really bringing about his own destruction. Tang Zheng and the others stopped, and the ghost general also stopped. He jokingly said, "Why aren't you running? Run." War Soul and Huang Xiang rushed forward at the same time. Even if they were to die, they would die in battle. They would absolutely not allow themselves to be captured. Tang Jing gently placed Yi Ding Dang down. She was still unconscious, and Tang Jing firmly said, "Ding Dang, as long as I still have a breath in me, I will definitely protect you." Then he raised his sword and rushed forward. The ghost general was immensely proud of himself. The ghost headblade's power was extraordinary, and under the fierce attacks of the three, it did not fall into a disadvantage. Instead, it was Tang Zheng and the others who had more wounds on their bodies, looking battered and exhausted. The three of them retreated as they fought, and finally retreated to the front of the mountain. Unable to retreat, the ghost general blocked the attacks of War Soul and Huang Xiang, and then in a flash released a killing move towards Tang Zheng. The ghost head blade flashed with a black light, and the ghost general brought an unparalleled momentum towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's War Soul was struck down with a clang, and the ghost head blade was about to cut off Tang Zheng's neck. He took advantage of the opportunity to roll on the ground, and the ghost head blade brushed past his hair, directly cutting into the cliff. There was no sound of stone being split, and there was not even the slightest sound of impact as the ghost head blade sank into the cliff. Yes, it was not the cliff that was split open, but the cliff was like a quagmire, and the ghost head blade sank into it. A huge suction force instantly engulfed the ghost head blade. The ghost general was shocked. What is going on? But before he could react, he had already sunk into the cliff with the ghost head blade. "Ah no!" The ghost general screamed and in a flash, disappeared into the cliff. Tang Zheng was dumbstruck as he looked at this scene. What was going on? How did the ghost general disappear? The cliff seemed to have a huge suction force swallowing the ghost general. "Tian Chanzi, quickly take a look, what is going on?" Tang Zheng quickly asked. Tian Chanzi's voice sounded, and he was somewhat excited. "The heavens have not forsaken you, little brat. The place you chose is not a dangerous place but a place of life. Don't speak in riddles, quickly tell me what is going on." Tang Zheng's curiosity was completely aroused. "This is an array, and if my guess is correct, it should be the 10-direction killing array. This is an offensive array, and as long as someone touches this array, they will be thrown into the killing array, and as long as their skills are not enough, they will be killed by the array. 10-direction killing array." Tang Zheng was shocked. This was the first time he had heard of this array, but the key point was, why would there be an array here? This ordinary balanced mountain certainly has a certain origin in the past, so someone arranged the 10-direction killing array here. Just now, when he was attacking, he accidentally touched the killing array and was thrown into it. Then where did the ghost general run off to? Of course he is inside the 10-direction killing array. Tang Zheng's eyes shined as he stared at the cliff. Could it be that this 10-direction killing array is inside the cliff? Of course, but this 10-direction killing array must be to protect something, otherwise, it would be impossible to arrange such a fierce array for no reason. Tian Chanzi suspiciously said. "You mean to say that there is something precious behind the cliff, and this 10-direction killing array is protecting that thing? If my guess is not wrong, then it should be like this. Little brat, later on we must go in and take a look at what is inside. Since there are so few cultivators under the heavens, then this 10-direction killing array is particularly strange, we must figure it out." Tian Chanzi excitedly said he really wanted to figure out what had happened in the past 1,000 years, why were there so few cultivators? Tang Zheng's heart moved, of course he also understood his intentions, he also had the same idea, now that he had become a different kind of cultivator, if he did not figure out the reason, then he would be too passive. "Then do you think the ghost general will be killed after going in?" This was the question that Tang Zheng was most concerned about. If there is no movement, then he must be dead, otherwise he would have already started fighting inside. The ghost general facing the 10-direction killing array does not have much power to fight back. Tian Chanzi said as a matter of fact. "Doesn't that mean that if I go in, then I will also die?" Tang Zheng's head darkened. This fierce array was enough to kill even the ghost general. If he rushed in, then he would simply be seeking his own death. "Little brat, how can you be so unconfident? The ghost general accidentally entered the killing array, but we are fully prepared, of course it is different. Moreover, don't you still have me? With me here, the 10-direction killing array will not be able to do anything to you," Tian Chanzi said confidently. Don't boast shamelessly and lie to me. If I go in and die, then you will not be able to be reborn. Tang Jing said with trepidation. Nonsense, why would I lie to you? It is only the 10-direction killing array. I can definitely guarantee your safety. Tian Chanzi was questioned. He was very indignant. Tang Jing laughed mischievously. He was sure that Tian Chanzi definitely had a way. His eyes couldn't help but light up as he stared unblinkingly at the cliff. What was behind it? You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.